What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do at the very least 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. As always, I want to take a moment to show my appreciation to my followers and subscribers. We've now eclipsed and exceeded over 705,000 subscribers. I appreciate the love. Keep it coming, and I'm going to keep on coming. I'm in a very good mood. I'm in a very good mood because the NBA Finals are over, okay? I am a very, very, very happy man because I sit here in front of your face right now and in earshot of all of you out there on iHeartRadio, tired as hell. Tired as hell because I'm exhausted because it's been a long season, but nevertheless, it ended the way it was supposed to end, all right? And that's where we're going to start today, because where else to start other than in Boston? The Celtics beat the Mavericks 106-88 in Game 5 to capture their record 18th NBA championship, surpassing the rival Los Angeles Lakers for the most all time. The Celtics were led by Jason Tatum, who had 31 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists, and of course, co-star Jaylen Brown, who finished with 21, 8, and 6, and also captured NBA Finals MVP honors. Last night, by the way, also marked the 16th anniversary of Boston's last title since 2016, and the 107th playoff game Brown and Tatum played together, the most ever by a duo before winning their first NBA championship. It was also a first title for head coach Joe Mazzulla, president of basketball operations Brad Stevens, and veteran Al Horford, who played 186 playoff games before his first title ever, the most ever, by the way. The Celtics led wire to wire and were up by 21 points at halftime. This was actually the 16-year anniversary since the Boston Celtics had won because they hadn't won since 2008. Major props to Jason Tatum because the man showed up. Wasn't flowing offensively in games 1 and 2, but definitely showed up in games 3 and 5 and handled his business, especially in the closeout game. You see it right there, 11 to 24, shooting 31 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists, getting to the basket when the jumper wasn't necessarily falling, making sure he was assertive and aggressive enough to show that he was a star that belonged being mentioned amongst the stars. Jaylen Brown had been a model of consistency throughout these playoffs, and especially in the NBA Finals. He showed up on both ends of the court, showed up, was defending Luka from opening tap of Game 1. Okay, you saw he finished with 21, 8, and 6. Only shot 7 to 23 from the field, but who cares? He took on the defensive assignment, took on the challenge, was a model of consistency, and deserves all the praise in the world. But before I give out any more praise or any more criticism or anything in between, why should it come from just me? You know what? I'm going to welcome my analyst to the show, because he is a guy that was on that championship team in 2008, was also a member of the team in the NBA Finals when they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers. My colleague at ESPN, the big boy himself, the one and only Kendrick Perkins. What's up, big time? How are you, man? How's everything?
What's up, S.A.? What's happening? I'm tired as hell. I feel like you.
That damn
yeah,
right.
I'm glad it's over.
We both tired, and we both glad it's over. How surprised are you that it ended in 5?
I'm very surprised. I picked the Celtics to win at 7. I thought Dallas was going to give them more competition than that. But you got to give a lot of credit to the Boston Celtics, starting with the front office, starting with the medical staff, the training staff. This team was built for the long haul. You could tell since training camp, their #1 goal was to win the NBA championship because it showed, right? When the Dallas Mavericks were breaking down, when Luka Doncic was hobbling up and down the floor, the athleticism stuck out like a sore thumb. And when you saw Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, the game just looked faster, right? Like they played at a different pace than the Dallas Mavericks. And you talk about this starting 5, man, even with Al Horford in that lineup, I mean, it's been the best starting 5 in basketball. And Stephen A., I'm going to say this. I was one of the ones who criticized Joe Mazzulla a lot. I didn't think his style of play could work. He coached his ass off. I didn't know that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum could get it done. They played their ass off. And I also believed a while back that we would never see a back-to-back champion. I'm starting to rethink those things right now.
I got to tell you, I'm with you on the back-to-back because here's what I'm thinking. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, neither of whom are 28 years of age yet. Drew Holiday's locked in for the next 4 years. Derek White's about to get his bag. He's eligible for a 4-year, $120 to $130 million extension. Al Horford, he probably won't want to retire, even though if he does, he would have earned the right to do so after playing as long as he's played and finally capturing that elusive championship. Porzingis is going to be back with a vengeance. We don't know whether he's going to stay healthy. That's always a question mark with him. But we saw from game one that the brother ain't nervous. He showed up on a big stage, and if healthy enough, he can make things happen. This might have been a sweep had he not been hurt, to be quite honest with you. So we got to be honest about that. Having said all of that, right now, how are we to look at Jason Tatum in your mind? I'll get to Jaylen Brown in a second, but Jason Tatum, first team All-NBA. Now we're having discussions about him being in the conversation for being a top 5 player in the NBA. As Jason Tatum would say, what we gonna say now? What are we gonna say now? What do we say about Jason Tatum now, Kendrick Perkins?
That he's the NBA champion. That he's a top 10 player in the NBA. I'm not going to jump the gun and say a top 5, but he's a top 10 player in the league right now. It's a few guys that I still have ahead of him, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, Jokic, Giannis, Anthony Edwards. I mean, we could name some other, Steph Curry. Like, I don't have him in my top 5. I mean, and that's okay. He's a champion. He's a champion. He deserves to talk his noise. And we saw growth with Jason Tatum. We saw the great KG always used to tell us, I always like to watch these young and upcoming superstars around the league because I want to see if they're going to be able to grow in the area of making guys around them better. He did that this postseason, showed that he could be a point forward. He took a leap in that aspect, and in the results, they're the NBA champions. He's a champion.
Let me transition to Jaylen Brown, because I got to say this. I had him on my All-NBA team, 13. I don't think there's 15 players in the NBA better than Jaylen Brown when you take into account his defense and his willingness to accept those assignments. He deserves a lot of credit for that, whereas a lot of guys don't necessarily elect to do that. We know that he's been through a lot. We know that there's some shine that he feels he deserves, that he's been underappreciated. What did this finals and this ultimately capturing NBA Finals MVP, what has that done for Jaylen Brown, in your estimation?
Oh, everything. And you said top 15. I'm going with top 10. The Celtics have 2 top 10 players in the NBA. Jaylen Brown made me respect the defensive side of things and respect two-way players even more, the definition of a two-way player. He got it done on both ends of the floor, S.A. He got it done on both ends of the floor. He was efficient all throughout the postseason on the offensive end. He shot the ball extremely well. Defensively, one could argue that he was the best defensive player in the postseason. What he did to Luka in the NBA Finals, and look, Luka is going to put up numbers. I get that. He has the ball in his hands. He's too special of a talent to actually stop him or shut him down. But when Jaylen Brown was guarding him, he showed him it was levels to this. Jaylen Brown had a clean sweep. Do you realize he have the Bill Russell trophy, the Larry O'Brien trophy, and the Larry Bird trophy? It all resides in Jaylen Brown's house. Name me another young superstar that has those 3 trophies, and I'll wait until somebody catches up with him. Listen, right now we have to anoint him, and it's not Jaylen underappreciated Brown no more. It's Jaylen appreciated Brown. Damn it, he's a top 10 player in the league.
I have to look and transition to the Dallas Mavericks and ask the question, why did they lose this series? The answer that I come up with, there's a multitude of reasons why. Jaylen Brown's defense, no question about it. Boston's collective defense, we can't ignore that. I'm going to go to Kyrie Irving. And I'm not trying to point all the blame to him. Kyrie has had a sensational year. Kyrie deserves all the praise that he's received. We all know that we've been praising him for the longest time this year because he really, really made up for a lot of stuff that he had gone through in the past and really, really righted a lot of wrongs and was moving forward. But this ain't about us being critical of Kyrie. This is about us pointing out how clearly Kyrie hasn't gotten over being critical about himself. I believe Kyrie Irving was rattled in every game he played in Boston. Not Dallas. He was an all-world player. But in the city of Boston, at TD Garden, where he once played, where he once wore that Boston Celtics uniform, they clearly did not like him. They were chanting, Kyrie sucks. Every chance they got, they were booing him profusely. He was clearly affected by it, whether it was tight 1 minute, over anxious the next. The bottom line is he ended up averaging 14.3 points on 34% shooting and 18% from three-point range in the 3 games that he played in Boston. Now that Kyrie has lost his 4th final in 5 appearances, what are we to say about Kyrie Irving, and how are we to look at him in light of this performance specifically in Boston?
Well, I'm going to say this. It's a prime example when your leader needs a leader, right? And it's another prime example why veterans matter. We got to remember this, S.A. During this run to the NBA Finals for the Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie Irving has been the leader on that team. Now, all of a sudden, you go into Boston, and no matter how much you try to downplay it, or Kyrie try to downplay it, or he try to address the problem and try to get his mentality together, he needed a shoulder to lean on. And that shoulder wasn't Jason Kidd or Jared Dudley or any of the assistant coaches. He needed another veteran on that team that he could go to, another veteran on that team that could put a key in his back. I thought he was phenomenal in Game 3 and Game 4. Make no mistake about it. But Kyrie, in my eyes, is still one of the most skilled players to ever touch the damn basketball. That hasn't changed. But what he's done, I think, what the Celtics did to him, okay, just think, he's going against all-world defenders. Drew Holiday and Derek White, and Jaylen Brown, 3 of the most elite defenders, perimeter defenders in the game. Kyrie Irving, what he has done for the Dallas Mavericks this year and played a role. I know they fell short, but I think at this moment, I got to give him his flowers. He has completely closed the old chapter of his book, and the new chapter is looking really, really strong right now and really great for him. That's just me. I just feel it.
I have to disagree with you only on this sense, Perk. He is the one that is clearly holding on to it now. The rest of us have moved past it. You know, because we see him, we see how he's blossomed. We're going to give him his love. We're going to give him love. He hasn't let it go because he was a completely different player in Boston than he ever was in Dallas. He goes to Dallas, he looks all world, averaging 28 a game, 50% from the field, 42% from three-point range. The brother goes to Boston and all of a sudden can't handle the heat. They're treating him like a Benedict Arnold, and it's almost like he's like, yeah, it's a lot to get over. That's how he came across.
Yeah, and he forgot to play, and he forgot that it's just basketball. But again, you got to look, you have to give a lot of credit, again, to the Boston fan base and to the Boston Celtics, because they backed up their fan base, right? If you don't think for 1 second that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum didn't have it in the back of their mind that Kyrie Irving left them and that they wanted to shut him down and beat him in the NBA Finals, people, you're crazy and I'm crazy. Look, they had it on their mind. Let me say this to you, S.A. Tell me how you feel about this.
Sure.
Luka, in his 6 years.
That's where I was going.
I want to ask you, though. I want to be a co-host at Stephen A. Smith Show today. I want to ask you. So here's how I feel real quick, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Luka, out of his 6 years, 5 of those years, first team All-NBA, been to a conference finals, right? 2 seasons ago, I believe it was, with Jalen Brunson. This year, go to the NBA Finals. Does he start to get the Jason Tatum treatment that we gave Jason Tatum in 2022? Nothing else matters no more until he delivers a championship and complete the mission? I'm just asking.
You can make that argument, but it's actually something worse than that, Perk. Worse. We don't even get to ask him that first. You know what the first question we gonna ask Luka?
What's that?
How committed are you gonna be? You gonna get in shape? Think about that. When have we ain't never questioned Jason Tatum's conditioning. We ain't questioned LeBron's conditioning. Hell, we ain't question KD's conditioning. We ain't question Steph Curry's conditioning. We ain't question Kobe's conditioning. We ain't question conditioning of any of the great ones, okay? I mean, listen, the last time we talked about anybody's conditioning, it was with Shaq, and that was only because Kobe was going off about the shit. At the end of the day, Shaq comes out there, and he's like, I ain't worried about the Sacramento Queens, and then went out there and showed them there's a difference between kings and queens, and they ain't ready. And that's how he treated them. So we can't even get on Shaq about that. The point that I'm making is with Luka, knowing you going up against Tatum, knowing you going up against Jaylen Brown, knowing those horses in the Western Conference that you did get through, one could easily argue that Luka's conditioning served as an impediment because he wanted to play at one pace. And this is what I said the other day. I said this today on my day job, First Take. Every weekday morning, 10 a.m. to 12 noon on ESPN. I said that this morning, Big Perk. I said, who's the ideal teammate for Kyrie Irving? I'm sorry, I said, think about it in terms of somebody that's Kyrie Irving with what Kyrie Irving was going through in Boston. Let me tell you the names I gave the audience. KG, number one. I said that mouth on KG. KG would have been on the court, on the parquet floor if he was an opponent of Boston and would have been telling them, bump them. Hell with them, they kiss your ass. What the hell you doing? He would have been in his face like, suck it up, let's go. He'd have got on Kyrie. Kyrie would have responded to that, right? Another person that would have been an ideal teammate was Kobe, because Kobe would have done the same thing. And another person who would have been an ideal teammate, but for an entirely different reason, is his old running mate he won the title with, LeBron. Because unlike Luka, LeBron can play whatever pace you want. You want to slow it down? LeBron got that. You want to speed it up, play up-tempo? LeBron got that. You understand? LeBron could do it, whereas Luka only wanted to play at one pace because he doesn't have the conditioning to keep up with the pace that Kyrie could flourish at, etc. What are your thoughts about what I just said?
No, I'm with you 1,000%. Everything you said is 100% accurate. And I think that's going to be the growth for not only Luka, but the entire Dallas Maverick team. They're going to have to hit the player development. Luka is going to have to take that next step in his cardio. We saw Jokic do it, right? We saw Jokic come back in phenomenal shape, start the training camp the year that they wanted. And you know what Jokic did? He sustained that throughout the season, right? He made sure he kept the main thing the main thing. We joked around, and they had it circulating the video when Mike Finley took the beer out of Luka's hand, but that's another sacrifice. You know, Luka, okay, if that was on camera, what are you doing behind closed doors? If you're trying to be the best, if you're trying to win the NBA championship, it's going to have to start with your conditioning. At the end of the day, look, Luka's first team all whack body, okay? I have a whack body. Jokic have a whack body. Paul Pierce had a whack body. You know what a whack body is, S.A.? It's you could be in shape. You're not going to get a six-pack. You probably get a 4, but the bottom is still going to have a little pudge, and that's okay. You're in great shape, all right? You're in great shape. But here's the thing I was thinking about. I was thinking about, okay, if the Dallas Mavericks want to make another run at it next year, we know teams are going to get better in the offseason. You know who I'm looking at? I want to get your energy because I've been missing you the last couple of days on First Take. But I want to get your energy on that.
Okay.
All right, Tim Hardaway Jr., they can find a way to move his money.
That's right.
Okay, he making about 18, 19 million.
Right.
You package up him and somebody else. Can they go out and get Klay Thompson? Can you go get Klay Thompson?
Okay. Here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that. If I'm Klay Thompson, that's not where I want to go. Why? Because Luka's too ball dominant. See, Klay Thompson is used to catching and shooting. And as exceptional of a passer as Luka is, remember, Klay Thompson still plays at a higher pace. And so that's problematic because Luka's going to look for his shot. Kyrie's going to look for his shot. Klay Thompson's your number 2 option, okay? He's not used to being less than that. And if he's going to be less than that, he can stomach it if the pace of play gives you more bites at the apple because you're jacking up more opportunities because you're playing at a faster pace. At the pace that Luka's going to play with, because you know the ball's going to be in his hands the majority of the time, I don't think there's room for Klay. I think the ideal place for Klay Thompson is the New York Knicks or the Philadelphia 76ers. I would say the Los Angeles Lakers, but they don't have a snowball's chance of getting them.
No, I'm with you on that. But here's the thing. I understand, and that's a great point you brought up about pace. But how much do you trust J. Kidd? I trust him a lot. You don't think that he could make Luka get up off the peel? Look, P.J. Washington had a lot of shot attempts.
Right.
You know what I mean? In that NBA Finals, I'm thinking to myself, if that's Klay Thompson, that his mentality is right, because we know this past season, Klay dealt with a lot of ups and downs with the organization and all this. Like, we know this.
Still shot 42% from three for the second half of the season.
That's what I'm saying. But we know if your mind is not right, you can't be the basketball player you want to be. I'm saying those shots P.J. Washington was missing in the NBA Finals, and P.J. Washington balled out. I'm not saying they need to get rid of him, but you add Klay Thompson to the mix, I'm okay with that with the Dallas Mavericks if they make some moves. But look, what they got in that kid, Derek Lively, I'm telling you right now, hey, the sky's the limit for that young man as well.
Well, let me ask you this, Perk. Is that your way of saying you don't believe that Dallas missed an opportunity? Because the West is packed. Who's to say Dallas is going to get back anytime soon?
I wouldn't pick them. I'm not picking them to come out of the West next year because it's going to be too hard, man. Like, I could see it the following season. I don't see it this season. I believe Minnesota, Anthony Edwards is going to be back. We can't forget about what Ime Udoka is doing down there with the Houston Rockets. You talked about this as well. And then Ja Morant with the Memphis Grizzlies. He's going to come back with it on his mind as well. So teams are going to get better. The Denver Nuggets are going to clean up areas, right? They're going to make sure that they clean up their bench and get better in their roster moves because obviously they was missing Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. Right. I believe if they had Bruce Brown, they would have beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. If they had
Jeff Green and Bruce Brown, they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
So I'm just saying, I don't have Dallas going back to the finals next year. I mean, you can't never count Luka and Kyrie out, but I think they missed out on the opportunity. That's why when you get to the NBA finals, it's hard as hell to get there, but when you get there, you got to make sure you capitalize. The Celtics knew that from 2022, and all I kept hearing Jason Tatum say is, I remember what happened in 2022. It's not about to happen this year. And him and Jaylen Brown stood on that.
Who's the stiffest competition in the East to the Boston Celtics right now?
Oh, come on now. We know who that is. It's the New York Knicks. Healthy. You get OG Anunoby back, even with Julius Randle. Okay, if they don't decide to move Julius Randle, name me a team that's better than the New York Knicks right now. I'm not taking the Bucks over them. I don't know what the Philadelphia 76ers are going to do. I don't know. They may go out, they may swing big for the fences and try to get Paul George. That's neither here nor there. But currently constructed, the Boston Celtics are number one, bless you. And damn it, it's the New York Knicks that are number two. Now, I hear they have,
I was getting ready to ask you, if you're the New York Knicks, you're a New York Knicks fan, you know a few of them. Who's the best fit? Is it Klay Thompson or is it Paul George?
Man, you know what? It's hard because you don't want to take away what the Nova boys are bringing to the table.
Right.
See, I feel like if you add a Klay Thompson, if you add a Klay Thompson or you add a Paul George, you're gonna take away from Dante. I strongly believe that. So I think, man, to be honest with you, I see, you know what they say? I run it back with Julius Randle. I really do. I think KG told you this shit.
Yes,
I run it back with
I
run it back with Julius Randle because here's the thing. When you're on the sideline and you're injured, you watch your team have success without you because the Knicks had a successful season. I don't give a damn what nobody
says. Yes, they did.
Being on the sideline and being injured and watching your team perform, that's the greatest teacher of them all, right? Because it's like, oh, dang, okay, I see that style. Okay, so now I'm learning the game. Julius is learning, like, okay, maybe if I sacrifice a little bit more, we could go small ball. I could be at the 5 and mix it up a little bit. Like, those are the things. I just want to see Julius come back, and I want to see how they look together with OG Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Dante, and Julius, and along with, I don't know what's gonna happen with Isaiah Hartenstein because somebody might offer him a bag, but that's okay because the Knicks are eye candy. But at the end of the day, the Celtics are the #1 team. The Bucks got some things they got to figure out. I don't know what they want to do with Chris Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you bring him back because he looks old.
He does.
He looks old.
He looks old, and guess what? More weight being put on Damian Lillard's shoulder to help Giannis is not the greatest thing in the world. And in my opinion, if things don't work out for Milwaukee this year, I think Giannis is going to want out of Milwaukee. That's just my personal opinion. No inside information or anything like that. That's just how I'm feeling. But I'll get to that another day. I'll tell you this about Paul George compared to Klay Thompson. If I want a shooter, I want Klay Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
If I want a defender who can give me some offense, it's obviously Paul George, which would give the Knicks the edge with Paul George. Remember, the Knicks got 11 first-round picks over the next 7 years. So you got assets to move to Golden State if indeed you really, really want to make that happen. Or the Clippers. For me, though, is this. Paul George usually has to dribble to get his groove. And I already got Brunson doing that. So it takes away to some degree from Brunson. I don't think Klay takes anything away from Brunson.
I agree.
And not only that, you could play him with DiVincenzo because Klay can be a 3 for you when need be. It would sacrifice some of Josh Hart's minutes, but that would save Josh Hart, give Josh Hart less time, but more energy when he's playing to come in there and be that defensive wizard and that energizer bunny that you need. Because even though Josh Hart hits threes, he's not a sniper like Klay Thompson and Dante DiVincenzo.
I'm with you on that. And everything you said, I agree. You know who's going to be the most important player for the Knicks and for them to have success next year? It's going to be Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, health.
Now, his health, and he got to get his big ass in some shape. Right. I believe that he needs to drop about 30 pounds. If he drops 30 pounds, look, man, I'm telling you, look out. He could possibly go for Defensive Player of the Year if he dropped 30 pounds.
Before I let you get on out of here, let's go back out west to the Los Angeles Lakers. Our colleague at ESPN, JJ Redick, is emerging as a top candidate for that job. You know I've been in the news because obviously I spoke out against the Mind Your Game podcast. It wasn't against JJ Redick. It wasn't even against LeBron James and the podcast. It was the timing of the damn thing, Perk. You had the podcast. When it first came out, I was happy about it, was happy for them, thought we would all learn a lot about the game of basketball, listening to JJ and LeBron, and I still stand by that. But then you got coaches that have called. You've got other people that have lamented the fact, damn it, you knew Darvin Ham was on the hot seat. Why would you pick that time to have this damn podcast? And now, lo and behold, here JJ Redick is, the guy you doing the podcast with, as the primary candidate for the Lakers job. Hell, what are we supposed to think, Stephen A? That's what they're saying. What do you say, Kendrick Perkins?
Well, one, we already knew that JJ Redick was getting that damn job. They was just waiting for the NBA.
He doesn't have it yet. It's not official yet. We'll see.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, but he's the front runner, as say, and now the news is starting to circulate again right after the NBA Finals, okay? Which I already heard what was going to happen anyway before even the Dan Hurley news dropped. Here's the thing that I got to say, right? I think JJ Redick knows his shit. I really, really do. He is a brilliant basketball mind.
He is.
But the one thing that I have a concern with, and I told JJ this to his face. We had a conversation. I said he's going to have to adjust that arrogant ass Duke attitude. He's going to have to adjust
Did you tell him that?
I told him that.
I'm quoting. You said that arrogant ass Duke attitude to him?
Yeah. And he laughed and we laughed it out. But I was serious because think about this. The two coaches that was coaching in the NBA Finals were who? A young Joe Mazzulla, 35 years old, and a Jason Kidd. X's and O's is one thing, but going in that locker room and speaking that language and getting the ears and the attention of those players is a whole nother thing. And that's what I think the adjustment of JJ Redick is going to have to be. Am I a bit disappointed? that the Lakers didn't give a fair shots or more interviews to other coaches like a Phil Handy,
like a
or
Sam
like
Cassell.
a Sam Cassell
Yep.
that just won the NBA
Or Mark
championship.
Jackson.
Right. I am. But at the end of the day, we know what was going on. And that's probably why I got unfollowed, because on social media.
When LeBron,
because
you talk about when LeBron unfollowed you because
Yeah.
you got on him for always trying to insert himself into the narrative, and he unfollowed you, and then you tweeted out and you said some people didn't follow Jesus. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be all right.
I'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
Has he spoken? Has LeBron spoken to you since?
No, he hasn't.
Has his team spoken to you? Has his team spoken to you?
You know, Rich Paul and reached out.
Right.
You know that.
Right.
You know that.
Right.
You know that. And look, to be honest, S.A., it's no beef whatsoever. Here's the thing, I'm gonna tell you this, and as we wrapping up the season, man, look, I appreciate everything that you have done for me, real talk, and this real shit coming from my heart. Everything that you have done for me as a mentor, as a big brother in this media space, and you know how much I bust my ass to be here.
Yeah.
And you also know that when you're a Hall of Fame player, a franchise guy that retires, you know, networks, not just here, but other networks, they roll a red carpet out for guys to come into this space.
Right.
I had to work my ass off to get to the point where I'm at today, and I still got more work to do. And what people don't realize is this job is just not a hobby for me. I take this shit serious. I approach this as my next chapter in my life. I close the basketball chapter in my life. When I go up on First Take, I don't even want the sidebar or the graphic of showing Kendrick Perkins, 2008 NBA champion, 14-year vet. No. I just want to be known as Kendrick Perkins, NBA analyst. This is the next chapter. I'm trying to be great at that. And in order for me to do that, you know, I got to do my job. And sometimes if it ruffles some feathers or it may cause some, you know, people to get in their feelings, so be it. Because if it does, then, and we're talking about the game of basketball, right, then you really not in my corner anyway. Look, I'm going to do my damn job. I appreciate you, S.A., and I'm going to keep going.
I always tell you that. We don't have Thanksgiving. We ain't having Thanksgiving dinner with them. We ain't exchanging no damn Christmas gifts. As long as you are fair and you ain't getting personal, fuck it. If they're going to have an attitude, they're going to have an attitude. You get over it. Life goes on. Having said all of that, I think that when we look forward to what the culture has been like, switching back to the court, here's what I love about Boston. Even though I picked the Mavs because I thought Porzingis wouldn't play at all, and I couldn't believe he played and stuff like that. But props to the Boston Celtics. I'm really happy for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown because I got love for both of them. I got to tell you this. What they've done by winning the championship last night, I believe is the death of the big three. We ain't going to hear about that no more because now they showed you all you need is a big two and the right parts around them in order to win championships. Bump all that big three nonsense anymore. I think KD, Beal, and Booker getting swept the same year that a big two in Boston won the championship, it's put the death to the big three. To that you say what?
I'm with you. But look, it started from last NBA championship with Jokic and Murray. It was just a follow-up and the nail in the coffin and the burial with the flowers over it with them singing the gospel music what Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum did to it.
Right.
That's all it was. The big threes are over with. Get you 2 1As or however you want to call it, and go out there and do your homework and put the pieces around them. Much credit to Brad Stevens, Wick Grossbeck. They did that. I know we got to go, S.A., but let me say this. Do you realize what it took for Brad Stevens and Wick Grossbeck to make the move of trading Marcus Smart?
Yeah. And I feel bad for Marcus Smart too, because I almost want him to have a ring because of what he's meant to the Boston Celtics. But you do understand that Porzingis did make them better, and of course Drew Holiday. Absolutely. And by the way, Missoula, listen, I'm an Ime Udoka fan. And I believe that if Ime Udoka was the coach of the Boston Celtics, they'd have did what they did last night. They might have did it last year. I feel that way, but I can't take nothing away from Mazzulla. He has proven to be a hell of a coach. He's got to get his flowers, his props, because he showed up. He really did.
I agree 1,000%. You know, Sam Cassell told me the other day that Joe Mazzulla, he said, Perk. You know how he talk. Yeah. He knows his shit. He's one of the most brilliant basketball minds I ever been around. I'm telling you, that MF, he's something else.
That's not a bad Sam Cassell invitation. That's not a bad one. That's how he is. But he's telling the truth. Sam Cassell ain't no damn liar. He ain't no damn liar. He's not. I'm proud of you, my brother. You did a great job this year covering the NBA. You deserve your rest. I'm gonna invite you, down. I ain't gonna tell everybody. I ain't gonna tell everybody where I'm at, but I'm gonna invite you down to the crib for the buffet. I got my sister Carmen. She already got the buffet set for you. Appreciate you, big boy. Thanks a lot, man.
Appreciate you, S.A. Love you, brother.
Same here, my man. Same here. One and only Kendrick Perk is hanging out with your boy Stephen A. right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Coming up, one of the coaching candidates I've been touting for the Lakers is now heading to the Clippers as a lead assistant coach. What does it mean for the Battle of Los Angeles? Plus, my man, the one and only Charles Barkley, Chuckster himself, announced his plan to retire from TV after next season. But will it stick? I'll touch on that and more next, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Be back with more in a minute. Everybody knows I demand excellence, and I'm in it to win it. So that's why I have teamed up with the one and only Prize Picks, okay? America's #1 fantasy sports app to help turn my sports knowledge into some big-time money. In case you already didn't know, Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app where you choose 2, 3, or even up to 6 of your favorite players and then simply pick more or less on their projected stats. It honestly takes less time than it does for Asia Wilson to dribble up the court and hit that long-range game-winning 3, Every basket, strikeout, or goal gets bigger and bigger and bigger each week. So go now and download the PrizePicks app today to join a community of more than 3 million members. And if you do, PrizePicks will match your first-time deposit of up to $100. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. So go to prizepicks.com right now and use code SAS. My initials, of course, in case you didn't figure that out. Just use promo code SAS on PrizePicks to receive a first deposit match of up to $100 and then let the games begin. PrizePicks. Pick more. Pick less. It really, really, really is that easy.
It's a surreal feeling. We did it.
We did it!
I know everybody will wonder what would happen if we didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Now that the Boston Celtics are the best franchise in the NBA, social media has had a lot to say about Jason Tatum, who you were just listening to, and his celebrations that have recreated iconic moments, to say the least. Tatum has openly expressed his admiration for late NBA legend Kobe Bryant. He paid tribute to him during this year's NBA Finals, wearing a Celtics shirt identical to one Bryant wore during his pre-draft workout with Boston in 1996, as you can see right there. Fans have also accused Tatum of recreating the Celtics' 2008 victory when Kevin Garnett shouted during the post-game interview, "Anything's possible!" Remember that? That was Kevin Garnett. And if you saw what Jason Tatum did, people are getting on him because of his quote-unquote poor imitation. Not to mention when he said, "I guess we'll never know," that was him mimicking Kanye West. My response to all of this is very simple. Who gives a shit? He's a champion. Y'all can stop that nonsense right now. Hate another day. Hate another day. Jason Tatum is a champion. The brother was first team All-NBA. The brother averaged 27 a game. The brother in the NBA Finals game dropped 30 and 10. 30 and 11 to be specific. No Celtic in history have ever done that. This is a Boston Celtics we're talking about. Winners of 18 championships in NBA history, surpassing the Lakers at 17, okay? And Jason Tatum did something nobody for the Boston Celtics have ever done. has ever done in an NBA Finals. So this ain't the time. In 7 years in the league, the brother has been to 5 conference finals and 2 NBA finals, and now he's a champion. Everybody stand down and shut the hell up. He got his endorsement deals. Okay, he's getting his bag. He's in line to sign a 5-year, $315 million extension. Nobody's going to blink at those dollars. It'll be the highest in NBA history. Nobody's going to blink at that, especially after Jaylen Brown just signed last year for $304 million. Okay, because he's Jason Tatum. And when you've got that pressure on you, Jaylen Brown got $304 million. You waiting for your deal down the line. On top of it all, you had already been at a conference finals numerous times and an NBA finals appearance, and you failed to kick in the door, including a couple of years ago when you lost to Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. All of this pressure was on Jason Tatum's back. And he answered the call. Best record in the league. 27 points per game, NBA championship. After being named first team All-NBA, when his teammate Jaylen Brown couldn't even make third team All-NBA, although I voted for him to be on that team and he should have been on that team. You feel what I'm saying to you? It's time to shut the hell up. This ain't the time to be talking about Jason Tatum. The brother's a champion. He's a champion, and nobody can take that away from him. I couldn't wait to get to this next story that I'm ready to talk about right now because I saw it in the news last week, and obviously it's apropos that I comment about it. It's a story that can't be good news for NBA fans. No way in hell. My man, my brother, the one and only Charles Barkley, announced that he will retire at the end of next NBA season, after the next NBA season. Barkley joined NBA TV after the Mavericks' Game 4 win on Friday, and he had this to say.
I have made the decision myself, no matter what happens, next year is going to be my last year on television. And I just want to say thank you to my NBA family. You guys have been great to me. My heart is full with joy and gratitude.
Now, Barkley has been one of the faces of Inside the NBA for 25 years, but it appears that TNT is going to lose NBA rights following next season, with some combination of Amazon, NBC, obviously ESPN, and Disney, of course, ABC to be exact. Here's one thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not in any way calling Charles Barkley a liar. I think that Charles Barkley is very sincere. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Charles Barkley's leaving. Let me tell you what I think is going on, and it's just a thought. I have not spoken to him, have not asked him about it. Charles Barkley loves those people over at TNT. I'm not talking about just Ernie Johnson, Shaq, and Kenny Smith. I'm talking about all the people behind the scenes. And what Charles has publicly lamented was how Warner Brothers Discovery has handled the whole NBA situation, and how he feels like TNT employees are being thrown out to pasture, and it sickens him. So he doesn't just want to go away and go somewhere else while 150 to 200 plus people find themselves looking for a new job because they're out of a job, courtesy of this move. And that is the Charles Barkley you're hearing right now. A Charles Barkley that loves the people he works with, that loves a lot of the bosses he worked for, that loves some of the colleagues he worked with on the air, behind the scenes, of course. It's a family over there to him. And he can't imagine wanting to be somewhere else, working with or for somebody else, while those people are looking for a job. The same Barkley that said, I've had my time and I'm about to give it up. Let those same people be out of a job. And somebody tells Charles Barkley, you know what, your production company could produce your own NBA show and everybody will flock to you and he could keep those people employed. I'm willing to bet my check Charles Barkley would do it just for them. Because no matter the fact that he's the round mound of rebound, he's the mouth that roars, he'll tell it like it is, or how he thinks it should be, et cetera, et cetera. The brother's got a heart of gold. He's got a heart of gold. He's one of the best human beings you'll ever see in your life. And those people are people he cares a great deal about. And it's because he cares so much about them. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm saying don't believe he's going for good. Don't believe it. I don't believe it for 1 second. His voice is too powerful, it's too influential, it's too enjoyable. And he loves the game of basketball too much. He ain't 80. He's still got a lot of life left in him. So I don't think for 1 second this is going to be the end. I just think he's pissed off at the way colleagues at TNT are being thrown out to pasture in his eyes. And he'd rather walk away than work for somebody else while they find themselves looking for a job because he feels that sick about it. That's Charles Barkley. If you know him, that's what you know about Charles Barkley. That's who he is. That's who he is. So what I would say to you is stay tuned. Anything's possible. The other thing is, one thing I will get on Charles Barkley about. You know, he talked about Jamal Crawford, Vince Carter, and others passing the baton to them. Let me say this to you. You ain't gonna find too many people on the planet that love Jamal Crawford more than me. I love the brother. My nickname for him was And1. He could boogie on anybody. The brother was spectacular, especially one-on-one basketball. The brother was spectacular. Love Jamal Crawford, JC special. And Vince Carter is a Hall of Famer and the best in-game dunker I think I've ever seen. They're damn good at being basketball analysts. And I hope their future is bright. But when Charles Barkley says he's going to pass the baton, Charles Barkley ain't making that call. I can assure you that. Charles Barkley is not going to decide who his successor is in that particular seat that he sits in. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're good. Hell, they're very good. But I'm telling you, it don't go down like that. Take it from your boy, Stephen A. I'm telling you what I know. Let me move on to Mr. Jeff Van Gundy, former head coach of the New York Knicks, former head coach for the Houston Rockets, former NBA color commentator extraordinaire for ESPN's A-Team on NBA games on ESPN and ABC. That Jeff Van Gundy. Just as I thought maybe he would get an interview for the head coaching job with the Los Angeles Lakers, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reported this morning that Jeff Van Gundy has agreed to join the Los Angeles Clippers as their top assistant under Tyronn Lue. The 62-year-old Van Gundy spent 16 years as a TV analyst for ESPN before accepting a role as a senior consultant with the Boston Celtics this past season, who just won a title last night. Van Gundy has a strong relationship with Lue after having coached him for a season with the Rockets and teaming up with him as members of the USA basketball staff. I miss Jeff Van Gundy. I miss Mark Jackson. This is not me throwing any shade at Doris Burke, J.J. Redick, certainly the Hall of Famer Mike Breen. Doris Burke's a Hall of Famer too. This is not about anything like that. This is about the fact that Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson were truly an A-team. They were exceptional at their jobs. They were riveting in a lot of ways. They were an illustrious tag team that the basketball world enjoyed for more than a decade. Love them both, respect the hell out of them. And Jeff Van Gundy having a job back in the NBA, I couldn't be happier for him. He's a good man. Stan Van Gundy, his brother, is a good man. And by the way, the other day I heard Stan Van Gundy on Dan Le Batard's show speaking about how his now late wife, Jeff Van Gundy's sister-in-law, had passed away after committing suicide. I had no idea. My heartfelt condolences to the Van Gundy family. Back to basketball. Jeff Van Gundy deserves to be what he wants in a game of basketball. If it's a coach, fine. If it's an assistant coach, fine. If it's a color commentator, fine. I respect the hell out of Jeff, and I'm very fond of him. But it's one thing that we all have to understand. And nobody speaks about this because everybody talks about stuff as unfair and, he got let go. In the world of business, when cuts take place, cuts take place. There's hundreds of people who lost their jobs. And it wasn't just at ESPN or at Disney. Have you seen what happened at Meta? Have you seen what has happened at places like Apple and Amazon and other places? The climate that we're living in, these kind of things happen. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's fair. Damn it, it's downright cruel. When have we known the world of business to be otherwise? And I got news for you. I was sad to see Jeff Van Gundy go. Even sadder to see my brother, Mark Jackson, because obviously I'm a lot tighter with him than I am with Jeff Van Gundy. But I'm never concerned about them landing on their feet because of who they are, how impeccable their reputations are, and the kind of opportunities that will inevitably come their way. I can assure you, I know of plenty of people, when they lose their jobs, if they were to lose their jobs, it wouldn't be quite that easy. Matter of fact, it would be significantly more daunting. So again, in terms of Jeff Van Gundy, I miss you, buddy. I wish him and Mark Jackson were still at our network. Just like I'm happy that Doris Burke and Mike Breen and J.J. Redick are still there. Just like I'm happy Richard Jefferson and Ryan Ruocco are there doing their thing. Tim Legler, let me not forget him, who I think is an outstanding basketball analyst that should be doing more color commentary. Make no mistake about it. I work with special people with my day job at ESPN. But nothing's guaranteed. Nobody is safe. That includes me. And I'm speaking from experience. Remember, I got fired in 2009. Take nothing for granted in the world of business, ladies and gentlemen. No one's ever safe in this day and age. Numbers make calls, not just people. Numbers dictate a lot. Never forget that. Never forget that. Coming up, I get a lot of jokes about my hairline, in case you didn't know, which I know you do. But someone else in the sports world showed off something that has me feeling a lot better about myself these days. I ain't gonna lie to you. Find out who. Plus, Gervonta Tank Davis knocked out Frank Martin. Are we looking at the best fighter on the planet? I'll give you my answer up next right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airwaves of YouTube and iHeartRadio. Don't touch that dial or go anywhere. Be back in a moment. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Before I get on out of here for this particular show, I needed to revisit what transpired this past Saturday night. Gervonta Tank Davis knocked out challenger Frank Martin in the 8th round, all right, at MGM Grand's Garden Arena to retain his WBA lightweight title. Martin was simply outmatched, y'all. He was outmatched against Davis's power and speed and skill and boxing IQ. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you get into the ring with boxing's #1 attraction, because that's who the hell Gervonta Tank Davis is, okay? You're getting in with a shark in blood-infested waters. Some are calling the Baltimore native a mini Mike Tyson. With a record of 30-0, 28 by knockout, he's pound for pound one of the top 5 fighters on the planet easily. And guess what? He might be tops overall. Now, there's some names to throw out there in fairness. Terrence Crawford, we can't forget about him. Can't forget about him. Beterbiev, other Beterbiev, light heavyweight division, can't forget about him, okay? You got to throw him some love. Can't get around that. Canelo Alvarez, can't forget about him. My guy, David Benavidez, 28-0, 29-0, 24 knockouts, the Mexican monster, as so labeled Mike Tyson. Can't forget about him either. I brought up Terrence Crawford after his destruction of Errol Spence Jr. We know that Terrence Crawford deserves to be in the conversation. But here's the deal. This cat is 27-0 with 24 knockouts. Now, he's special. Super bantamweight, we don't see much of him. I remember I saw him knock out Nonito Donaire, but The brother's special, no doubt. We can debate the top fighter in the world pound for pound. We can do that. What we cannot do is debate who's the most exciting fighter, who's the biggest box office attraction in boxing. That would happen to be Gervonta Davis. We just got to accept it. He goes into the ring, Frank Martin and him talking a lot of stuff, and I knew I said something special. Listen, Frank Martin's going up against him, and you hear a lot of guys talking trash, and Gervonta Davis is a master at messing with your mind. He's a master at messing with your head and getting inside of your head. That's true, but what really, really stood out in my mind was when he was in the press conference leading up to the fight, and he said to Frank Martin, you really, really took this fight a little bit too early. He said, you really, really should have waited. That's really the mistake you made. You really should have waited. Martin, 18-0, undefeated, but with 12 knockouts. And what happened? Tank Davis comes out, especially after Frank Martin was telling folks, went on Ryan Clark and the Pivot podcast, with Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor and those boys talking about how he buckled, Tank Davis's legs and all that. Tank Davis is a press conference. What are you talking about? That's a lie. What the hell are you talking about? You don't make no sense, blah, 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 blah. You're just lying. And you know when I knew he was lying, when Frank Martin was lying? When Tank Davis got in that ring Saturday night and from opening tap walked right to him and stalked him. Open and tap, made him uncomfortable, was in his face, throwing haymakers, coming for him from opening tap. And then the knockout was beautiful. Swung a right hook, came with the left uppercut from the southpaw stance, obviously, and then he was completely caught off guard. Frank Martin was wobbled and left the whole right side of his face open, and Tank said, yeah, and took him out. There's levels to this. Frank Martin is good. He's a talented boxer, but was very deliberate in his protection and what have you, because boxing doesn't come that naturally to him. So what happened is that you protecting yourself, and Gervonta just set you up and ultimately wore you down and caught you. And now we got to look at Frank Martin and just go like this, because you're not going to get a rematch with Tank Davis. Why would he waste his time with that? So the biggest fight of your career, of your life, you blew because of the manner in which you got taken out. That's what happens. Back to the drawing board. I think that Frank Martin is a talented fighter. He'll make some things happen down the line in the future, but we'll never look at him the same after that destruction. We'll never look at him the same. Not to say that we won't respect him, but we'll never look at him the same because he got destroyed by Gervonta Davis. And that's no shame, that's no slouch, but damn, still in all, if you get destroyed, you get destroyed. And so now I'm looking at it, Gervonta Davis is the #1 box office attraction. Who I want to see him against next is Shakur Stevenson. I don't want to see him against Devin Haney because Devin Haney has proven to me that he's not a good punch taker. So my thing is, if you're Gervonta Davis, you catch Devin Haney, oh my Lord, oh my God. You survived 3 knockdowns from Ryan Garcia. That ain't gonna happen against Gervonta Davis. So I don't want to see that fight. And then I'm looking at Tank Davis and I'm like, damn, at 135, you're a bit too big, you look too strong. Maybe you should move up to 140, Teofimo Lopez, stuff like that. That would be an interesting fight. But Shakur Stevenson, with all the noise that's been made about him, deserves a shot. And of course, Lomachenko. Because we know that Lomachenko is a brilliant, brilliant boxer, but he's so small. He's so small. I'm not comfortable seeing Lomachenko against Gervonta Davis because my attitude is nobody has a shot against Gervonta Davis if you can't punch with power. That's not to say that Lomachenko can't punch with power. We saw what he did to Kambosos, beat the shit out of him. But I'm saying to you, against Gervonta Davis, I don't know. I mean, it would be very interesting, very compelling, but I wouldn't be worried about Gervonta Davis getting knocked out. I'd be worried about Lomachenko. I want to see Gervonta Davis in the ring with somebody perceived as having enough power to put him on the canvas too. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I don't think Lomachenko gives us that. I think Shakur Stevenson might. That's just where I'm at with it, y'all. That's just where I'm at with it. Before I get on out of here for today, former professional soccer player turned Fox Sports analyst Landon Donovan was on the network's broadcast when fans noticed a chunk of hair missing behind his ear. The broadcast didn't show a full view of the back of Donovan's head, so it's unclear whether there is hair missing in other spots as well. But the bizarre look had social media in an uproar, to say the least. Donovan later explained that he was told it wouldn't appear on camera. And in a text exchange with former teammate Mike McGee that went viral, he explained that he had a hair transplant 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, I didn't see that. Who's this friend of yours? Who is the friend that told you that ain't gonna be seen on television? It's not like you had on a hat or something. Who the hell told you that? Who the hell told you that would not be seen on television? I don't ever want to hear shit about my hairline again. Not a word. I'm not doing bad. I'm not doing bad at all. Put me up against that picture all day. Landon Donovan, I got love for you, my brother. Respect for you. I'm just having fun with you. No harm, no foul. But you ain't never got to worry about my hairline looking like that. Oh no. Let me tell y'all something right now too, and don't put it past me. Look, y'all, I ain't got no shame in my game. I will go to hair club for men. I'll tell you about it. I'll let you come join me while I'm doing it. I don't give a shit. I could use my hairline being about this much closer. I wouldn't mind that. I ain't ashamed to tell you. Look, you got a lot of fake stuff going on out here. Remember that Chris Rock? Chris Rock once talked about you ladies. Now, the fellas, you know, some of us need to be fake, damn it. Some of us need toupees. Some of us need to shave it all off. Some of us need to get in the damn gym, whirling around with our rotund self. There's a lot of shit we need to do as men. But we ain't gonna let the ladies off the hook here. Remember what Chris Rock said in stand-up comedy before? He said, we'll give a damn about y'all talking about women. He said, you a liar, you a liar, you a liar. Remember that? When he did that stand-up, that comedy show? He said, you got heels on, you ain't that tall. You understand? He said, you got green eyes. Your eyes ain't no damn green. You know, you got fake boobs. You know, and he said, you remember that? He said, you wearing weaves, your hair ain't that color. He said, you lie every damn day, but you want me to tell the truth? F you. That's what Chris Rock said, not me. But it was funny, because it's kind of true. It's amazing how many people, particularly of the opposite sex, get to do things to accentuate your beauty. Okay? But the second a man tries to do something like that, we got to go through hell. Now, Landon Donovan, I mean, I don't know what the hell you were thinking showing up with that. I don't know what you were thinking. That's on you, bro. But I'm going to give you a pass in ways that a lot of women might not give you a pass. But the fellas, we gonna give you a pass because we feel your pain. We feel your pain and we here for you, bro. To a point. Ain't no way in hell I'd ever be seen with in public with my hair like that. I don't know what you were thinking. And if you're gonna show out in public, put a hat on. What you don't do is be a part of a broadcast with your hair like that. And then you're gonna sit up there and say your friend told you they wouldn't see it? Damn, cut him off. Friends like that, who needs enemies? Get rid of his ass. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Ladies, I'm only playing with you. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't nobody got no problem with y'all accentuating your beauty in whatever way you choose. This a free world. Live it up, girl. Live it up. To each his and her own. One person's ecstasy is another person's misery. Do you. Be all about you. That's the final note. Nugget of info from your boy Stephen A. I'm about to sign off until next time. I'll be back with Mara. Until then, peace and love, everybody. This is the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Signing off. Until next time.